Welcome to the Bovine Podcast, where we bring you practical insights to strengthen your dairy operation. Today, we're tackling something that affects every one of us in the dairy industry, especially as we head into the demanding spring season. Spring brings more than just new growth to your dairy operation. It delivers a perfect storm of stressors that can break even the toughest operators. As daylight extends and workloads explode with calving season, field preparation, and unpredictable weather, the mental toll intensifies dramatically. The statistics are sobering. Dairy farmers experience depression rates 3 times higher than the general population, with 76% reporting moderate to high stress levels. But here's the reality we need to face. This isn't just about feeling better. Studies show that stress-related errors and impaired management decisions cost dairy operations thousands in lost productivity annually. In today's episode, we're sharing 5 battle-tested strategies from fellow producers and mental health experts that won't just help you survive spring, they'll help you thrive when pressure peaks. These aren't luxury suggestions, they're business necessities that protect your most valuable farm asset, your mental well-being. So whether you're listening in the milking parlor, tractor cab, or during a rare quiet moment, stay with us as we explore these powerful techniques that are transforming dairy operations across the country.
Welcome to the deep dive, everyone. Spring! It just hits different on a dairy farm, doesn't it?
It really does.
I mean, those first bits of green are great, and the new calves, always good to see, but let's be real. It often feels like you're juggling chainsaws while riding a unicycle.
That's a good way to put it. High speed, high stakes.
Exactly. You've got calving going full throttle, fields need prepping after winter, and then, well, Mother Nature always has a few curveballs ready for spring. It's just intense pressure.
It is. And, while the physical work is obvious, what we really need to unpack today is the mental load, that significant weight that comes with this season. It's not just being tired, physically tired. Our sources consistently show that the stress levels dairy producers face are, notably higher than the general population.
And this isn't just feeling a bit stressed out. The impact is huge.
Yeah.
The data we looked at, it points to a really sobering statistic. The rate of suicide among farmers is just devastating, about 3.5 times higher than average.
It's tragic.
Beyond that personal cost, this level of burnout, it hits the farm financially too, hard. We're talking potentially thousands lost every year. Errors in judgment, lower efficiency, mistakes.
Yeah, mistakes in animal handling, record keeping, all those critical things. When you're under chronic stress, your brain just doesn't work the same.
Right.
Your focus, your decision-making, managing complex stuff, it's all compromised. And think about the precision needed in dairy, meds, breeding choices.
Crucial decisions.
Exactly. Stress just undermines all that. And that University of Gulf study you mentioned really highlights the scale of this. 76% of farmers reporting moderate or high stress. That's huge.
76%. And worse mental health overall compared to everyone else.
Right. The Gulf numbers are stark. Around 60% of farmers in that study showed signs of moderate or higher depression.
Yeah.
Compare that to maybe 17, 18% of the general population.
Oh, wow.
And anxiety disorders, also way up. And maybe the most worrying part, thoughts of suicide were twice as common among farmers. It really paints a picture of intense pressure and, frankly, serious consequences.
It does. And it's not static, right? Things are changing. Think about climate change.
Yeah, that's another layer. Rising spring temps mean a longer heat stress season.
Yeah.
More financial worry, more operational stress.
And the cost of heat stress isn't small potatoes. Our sources mention $1.5 billion annually for the industry just from heat stress.
That figure alone shows the massive economic stakes. So look, this isn't just about feeling better personally, though that's vital. It's directly tied to the farm's bottom line, its viability.
Precisely. So the goal for this deep dive isn't just to say, yeah, it's tough. We know you, our listeners in the dairy world, are facing this. We want to give you concrete, science-backed strategies.
Things your fellow producers and experts are actually using.
Right. Not just to survive spring, but maybe even, thrive a bit, despite the pressure. So let's get into some of these techniques.
Okay, a really good starting point, one that's literally right outside your door for most farmers, is nature itself. Rural mental health specialist Monica McConkey really emphasizes the power of intentionally engaging with your surroundings. Now, obviously, dairy farmers are outside a lot,
All the time.
but the key, as she points out, is shifting. Shifting from just working in nature to actually mindfully taking it in, noticing things.
That's a really important difference. Consciously shifting focus away from the task list, just for a moment, to what's actually around you.
And the benefits. Neurologically, they're quite remarkable. Our sources detail this. Even short, intentional moments in nature can lower cortisol.
That main stress hormone.
Exactly, that fight or flight one. Lower cortisol can mean lower blood pressure, even better cognitive function. It's like a natural reset button.
Or reset button. I like that.
And what's really interesting is how quick pauses can interrupt that stress cycle. There's this technique, the 5-5-5 reset. Simple, but quite powerful.
Okay, 5-5-5. What is it?
5 deep breaths first. Just center yourself. Then, identify 5 things you can actually see around you. Really look. Ground yourself. And finally, 5 minutes, totally disconnected. No phone, step away from the tractor controls, just 5 minutes off.
It sounds almost too simple, but I get the idea. These little micro breaks, they give your nervous system a chance to just calm down, step off the hamster wheel.
Precisely. It's a conscious choice to pause that constant task mode that's so easy to get stuck in on a busy farm.
And that story we found, the Pennsylvania dairy farmer, he saw a 22% drop in his own stress levels.
Yeah, self-reported stress down 22%, and fewer handling errors too, which is huge.
And his quote really stuck with me. I thought I couldn't afford to take breaks. Turns out I couldn't afford not to. That just hits home.
It absolutely does. It shows these aren't just nice-to-haves. They have real, tangible benefits for the operation. Investing a few minutes can mean more efficiency, fewer costly mistakes.
Yeah, when you're less stressed, more present, you're just sharper, less likely to have accidents or mess up those crucial daily jobs.
Exactly.
Now, another big thing our sources kept highlighting is isolation, the danger of it, especially during these really busy times like spring. Jane Seabright from the Center of Dairy Excellence mentioned how easy it is to get totally swallowed by the workload. You know, you miss sunsets, walks, just talking to people properly.
And it's not just a personal loss, feeling lonely. It has wider impacts, right?
Yeah.
Professionally, too.
That's what the research suggests. That sense of isolation, it can ripple out, impact the whole farm system. That University of Illinois study about farm stress affecting families is really telling.
It is, finding that around 60% of adults and adolescents in farm families met criteria for at least mild depression. That's significant.
60%. Adults and kids.
And they found a correlation between the adults' depression and the kids. It really shows it's a systemic issue, a whole family challenge when stress and isolation take hold.
It really is a ripple effect. If the adults are struggling, it hits the kids, and maybe vice versa too. It's a tough cycle. So practically, how do you break that? Especially when time is just gone.
Yeah, time is the constant pressure. Well, our sources talk about setting up connection checkpoints.
Connection checkpoints. Okay.
Yeah. Basically, proactively making small windows for real, meaningful exchange. Doesn't have to be long. Even a few minutes of focused chat can fight that feeling of being alone with all the pressure, like a quick mental check-in.
And that daily debrief idea sounds like a concrete way to do that. Kendra Nisley, another Pennsylvania farmer, her practice of a dedicated 10-minute evening chat with her husband about non-farm stuff.
Yes, that's a fantastic example.
And her analogy, she called it maintenance, like changing the oil in your tractor. Skip it, and eventually something breaks down. That resonates.
That's such a powerful way to frame it, because it makes these connection moments essential, not optional, part of farm management, really.
Right.
It highlights that direct link. Healthy relationships support a healthy, productive farm. A strong home base makes the whole business more resilient.
Speaking of family, the sources also talked about the sometimes surprising ROI of prioritizing family time, even when it feels like the last thing you have time for in spring.
Yes, that counterintuitive idea. Kendra Nisley's story, again, deciding to hire extra help, even though they were worried about the cost initially.
Right, a financial stretch, but they do it for family time.
And what's fascinating is how that seemingly personal decision paid off in business terms. Healthier marriage, better well-being for them both, more time with happier kids. All that contributes to a more stable farm environment.
Makes sense. And the data seems to back it up, too. Farms that intentionally carve out family time, they report better employee retention.
Which makes sense. Happier boss, often happier team.
And fewer workplace accidents, too. Probably less stress, better focus all around. There's even research suggesting when owners take regular breaks, you see fewer incidents and maybe even better herd health.
It all points the same way, doesn't it? A supported farmer and family unit. That's the foundation for a more efficient, safer operation.
Absolutely. So hiring help might not work for everyone financially, but there are other ways, right?
Definitely. Strategic ways. Deliberately scheduling time, even just one meal together daily or one protected family activity a week, it can make a big difference. Or exploring task sharing with neighbors, automating some routine jobs, using time-saving tech, all ways to free up bits of time.
It circles back to that main point. Prioritizing family isn't just nice, it's smart business. Kendra Nisley's quote again, "Our employees are what's making it possible for us to continue farming and continue to prioritize family and then business." It's all connected.
It really is integrated. And let's not forget that wider economic picture we mentioned. The Bullvine reported that $1.5 billion annual cost from heat stress.
Huge number.
And that includes lower milk yield up to 10 pounds a day less, potentially. Generational impacts, too. Offspring giving 4.9 to 5.1 pounds less milk daily. Peak milk down maybe 8.6 pounds in affected cows.
Now think.
A stressed farmer. Exactly. A stressed, overworked farmer is less likely to consistently put those heat abatement strategies in place effectively. Ventilation, shade, water monitoring.
So they might actually worsen those financial losses from heat stress because they're too burnt out to manage it properly.
Precisely. Their mental state directly, materially, impacts the farm's bottom line in that context, too. That's a critical link.
Wow. Okay, shifting gears a bit. Another powerful strategy for resilience, finding purpose in the daily grind.
Yes, consciously connecting with why you do what you do. Amy B., another Pennsylvania farmer, shared how she finds deep family connection through their farm work together.
That kind of perspective shift, it changes how you experience the challenges, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Instead of just seeing endless chores, you connect those tasks to deeper values. Maybe it's the family legacy. Maybe it's caring for the land. Maybe it's feeding people.
Right. And occupational psychology research supports this. Finding meaning in work boosts your ability to handle stress, makes the load feel, well, maybe not lighter, but more worthwhile.
But there's a concerning side here, too. Research from Australia found about 55% of dairy farmers there were dissatisfied.
Over half. Wow. Why?
Main reasons were rising costs, labor shortages, that constant work-life balance struggle, and that dissatisfaction. It directly correlated with declining mental health.
That really drives home why actively reconnecting with your purpose is so important.
It does. So how do you do that practically, day to day?
Well, the idea of farm storyboards like they use on some Australian farms sounds interesting.
Yeah, a visual reminder. Farm history, achievements, family connection to the land, the animals. Something you see every day.
Like an anchor to remind you what it's all about, especially on the tough days.
Exactly. When you hit setbacks, you can step back, look at that board, see the bigger picture, the progress, the legacy you're building. It reframes things.
Like Amy B. put it, it's hard work. Some days unbelievably hard. But being thankful for the strength to get up and keep nurturing everything, animals, crops, relationships, that's powerful.
It really is.
And speaking of finding strength, our next strategy is about celebrating the small stuff, the small wins.
Yes, leveraging the power of small victories. Monica McConkey, again, reminding us that spring itself is about new life, growth. We need to notice those positives as they happen.
Because it's easy not to, right? There's something called completion bias.
Exactly. Our brains tend to focus on what's finished. But in dairy farming, the work is never truly finished. It's cyclical.
So if you only focus on done, you always feel behind, never quite getting there.
Which can be really draining. But here's the cool part. Scientifically, recognizing small progress, those little wins, it triggers dopamine release in your brain.
Ah, the feel-good chemical.
Right. Pleasure, motivation, reward. It gives you a little neurochemical boost.
Yeah.
Energy, encouragement, especially when you're feeling worn out.
So how do you capture that?
The simple wins log is a really practical way. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just jot down a few small achievements at the end of the day.
Forces you to actually look for the progress.
Precisely. Things you might otherwise just brush past in the hustle.
And those wins can be everyday farm things, right? Like a smooth calving, fixing equipment that was bugging you.
Definitely. Getting a good milk component test back, solving a tricky problem, even just getting the field prep done on schedule.
They might seem small, but acknowledging them adds up, improves your mood, your sense of accomplishment.
And it's more than just feeling good. It actively counteracts stress hormones, boosts your energy at a neurological level. It's functional.
Okay, functional stress relief. I like that. But We know what many listeners are thinking right now.
Where do I find the time?
Exactly. This sounds great, but my schedule is already overflowing.
It's a totally valid point. The demands, especially in spring, are just relentless.
They are, and that's the objection we have to tackle head on.
Because while the workload feels like it leaves no room, our sources are really clear. Protecting your mental capacity isn't optional. It's not a luxury for when things slow down.
It's non-negotiable because the cost of not doing it is too high. Impaired judgment, accidents, lower efficiency, that comes from chronic, unmanaged stress. And those costs far outweigh the time needed for these strategies.
Think back to those Gulf study findings on suicidal thoughts. A quarter of SARMers having those thoughts reported life wasn't worth living, or they'd considered ending it in the past year.
That's incredibly stark. It underscores the urgency. You can't just push through indefinitely.
No. The bottom line is clear. You really can't afford not to manage stress, the potential fallout, financial, personal, from bad decisions, accidents, burnout. It's just too significant compared to the time investment in these proactive steps.
So, making it practical, how does someone start without feeling like it's just another thing on the to-do list?
Well, the sources suggest a kind of 30-day stress management blueprint. The key idea is start small, don't try everything at once, pick one thing.
One strategy based on your biggest challenge right now makes sense.
Right. So if isolation is the main issue, commit to one 10-minute meaningful conversation each day. Just one.
Okay. And if it's mental exhaustion?
Try 3 of those 5-minute outdoor resets during your workday. Schedule them in if you have to.
What about feeling disconnected from family?
Establish one protected family activity per week.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Sunday dinner, maybe it's game night. Make it non-negotiable.
Losing perspective, feeling like the work doesn't matter.
Create that visible reminder. A farm storyboard, photos, whatever works for you. Something to reconnect you to your purpose.
And if you just feel totally overwhelmed, like you're drowning,
start that wins log. Just logging a few small achievements each day. It helps shift focus.
those are really concrete starting points. And there are more resources out there too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Center for Dairy Excellence has a lot of great stuff. Hotlines, articles, materials, specifically for dairy producers. Their website is a good place to look.
Yeah.
www.centerfordairyexcellence.org/stress.
Good resource to know. So look, spring on the farm, it's always going to be demanding. That's the reality.
It is.
But these strategies, they offer a way to change how you experience that demanding season. Not just gritting your teeth, but actually coping better, maybe even thriving.
And remember, prioritizing your own well-being.
Yeah.
It isn't separate from the farm. It's a vital investment in the farm's future, its stability, its success.
The research really supports that. Producers who manage stress proactively, they tend to see better herd health. They make sharper breeding decisions.
They're just better equipped overall to handle the inevitable challenges this industry throws at us.
And we wanted to leave you all with a thought that really resonated with us. It came from a veteran dairy producer. He said, "You can't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's the smartest business decision you'll make this spring."
That says it all, really.
It really does. So please make your well-being a priority. It's not just good for you, it's good for your farm, your family, and your future.
As we wrap up today's discussion on managing spring stress, remember this: protecting your mental health isn't self-care. It's a survival strategy for your dairy operation. You've heard the 5 techniques that can make all the difference. The 5-minute nature reset to reduce cortisol, scheduled conversations to break isolation, prioritizing family time as a business investment, connecting to your deeper purpose, and celebrating small wins to fuel your motivation. You don't need to implement all 5 strategies at once. Start with just one approach that addresses your most immediate challenge. Even small changes can yield significant results for both your well-being and your bottom line. For more resources on dairy farmer mental health, including downloadable tools and additional articles, visit us at www.thebullvine.com. We've also linked to the Center for Dairy Excellence's stress management resources in our show notes. Thank you for making time for this important conversation. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with a fellow producer who might benefit. Remember, in dairy farming, we're stronger together. Until next time, take care of your herd, your land, and yourself, because mental health equals farm health.